So what you guys are doing is very special. You know?
We hope it inspires some hope for the future instead of being hopeless. We're hoping what it does is brings people to dreaming about what can we do? How can this impact this area of New York State?
Now, when you guys purchased the building, it was what? I mean,
St. Stephen's. It was the St. Stephen's Bar and restaurant.
It was the St. Stephen's Hotel, and so they operated it as a bar, and just that's they were operating pretty much as the bar. So
That's it.
yeah.
And then you guys wanted to implement, like.
Well, that's a whole nother story. I pastored the church that's right behind here for 7 years.
Like you said, so you were kind of already here.
In 1995 till 2002.
Okay.
And during that time, one of the days I was at the office, I walked out, and we lived just 6 houses up the street.
Oh, wow. So
And when I walked down the sidewalk of the church, God spoke to me about this building.
Right.
And just said, someday that needs to live up to its name.
Which is the St.
So
Stephen's.
it was the St. Stephen's even then. And I think it's the first time I realized there's a bar named after the first martyr of the Christian faith.
Mm-hmm.
How weird is that?
Weird.
Turns out the history of that is more about a set of parents who had a son pass away, and his name was Stephen. And that's how it got named that way. But what God spoke to me, and he said, someday the building needs to live up to the name of Stephen, the first martyr of the Christian faith. So we lived with that dream for a long time, praying into it. God, when's that going to happen? When he began speaking to us 2.5 years ago, and just said, okay, it's time to go.
Time. Right.
Yeah. Well, and what the Saint Stephen was known was for good works, and he was very socially minded. So he's full of the Holy Spirit, but he was socially minded, taking care of the widows, the children, and community. And so that was a huge heart about why we wanted to be able to get back into this building, because we thought, could you imagine what kind of good we could do out of a building that size?
It's so appropriate.
Right.
Really.
Yeah.
The synergy between the name and the representation and the meaning and what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Perfect.
So
And his job within the church was to take care of the poor, the disenfranchised, all those things.
Right.
And so that's part of what we've lived with it
right.
Wow.
for.
And how the cafe became part of it is that we knew that we wanted to be able to give a lot of this building back to the community for their use and to build community, have it be a place that kids can come and play games, families can come, and ages are not discriminated against. So and in a bar, you don't get to do all of that. And so one of the things we wanted to do is we had ministry minded. We are very intensely passionate about helping just walk with people when life becomes unmanageable. And whether life unmanageable means you've got a teenager you just don't know how to deal with, or it could be I've got a loved one who is fighting cancer, or they're fighting an addiction, or I have an addiction of my own and I don't know how to break free. That's what the overarching mission and vision for Breathe Life. But what St. Stephen's Cafe does is it just brings a whole venue of good drinks, good food, game time, community time, fellowship. And in the nuts and bolts of that, it provides the opportunity to keep the lights on,
Right.
to upgrade the building, to be present, to have the doors open. And so it's actually basically a for-profit ability to allow the nonprofit to put everything they do back into people and not into facilities.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, on any day, 2:45 to 3, if you're here, you'll see kids start
I have it
coming
on camera.
right in.
Yeah, I have it on camera. It was my first shot in here was kids walking in. Do you remember?
We were talking about running groups and
Yes.
recovery ministries and being able to have a place for people that are going through different things in life to use this. Places where we've had bridal showers here,
Bridal showers, retirement
graduation parties, retirement parties, different community-minded groups that choose to come here and use this space
together.
Perfect for
Yeah.
it.
to gather.
You
Yeah.
know?
Well, and the bookshelves are built-ins. They were actually built specifically for this room and created 3 offices. So this room was actually 10 feet larger than what it is now.
Okay.
But what we wanted to do is get resources out front so that if someone wanted to come here, they can pull resources. They can look at, go through some of the text. Some of them they can check out. Some of them they can have because they're extras.
It's a resource library.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's very much geared towards just the healthiness of your emotions, your body, the mental,
Spirituality.
spiritual. Yeah.
I mean, and it's really about family in a lot of ways. Part of why we're here is families have been so torn apart, and somewhere we need to invest in helping families come back together. Like you said, there are very few families today that know how to talk things out.
No. So, but these doors were here, everything else was here. Right?
Yep. We painted them because they needed to be.
So, when you walk in and see this, what else do you need to know? And I've never seen a coffee shop have a bar like this. It's the first time in my life, and I've lived in a lot of places.
Yeah.
So it was a very heads-up move to say we can't get rid of the bar.
Yeah.
But now it was your idea to switch it over to a coffee bar.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the hilarious thing is that when we went and did our tour with the coffee company, we were just chattering and talking, and they're like, "Oh yeah, do you have a kegerator?" And we're like, "Yeah, we're not going to keep it." They're like, "No, if it's still part of the building, you used to keep it." And the reason why is because they do nitro infused on your coffee bar. They do. Nitro infused. You can flavor your coffee. You can do iced coffee.
Yeah.
And the iced coffee is amazing off of it. I've got to get the kegerator fixed, but
So the kegerator, is that the kegerator that we saw at the place in
The Bar Grill.
The Bar Grill has a kegerator, but it's not used for that. It's just a refrigerator now.
Ah.
But what's the premise? Is that it infuses?
So this here is the kegerator in here. I need you to put your stuff.
Good.
So this is the kegerator. So these would be the taps that you would see in a typical bar type thing. And the nitro that also is attached to them is what actually puts the head on top of any type of your brew that you have. Well, we're using the same thing. We're just using it with infused coffee. So
Is that common or uncommon?
it is very common, actually.
In cities, it's
It's very
But not
common.
something like you find in a smaller town.
Well, cold brew has been kind of like a new big thing. So you have got iced coffee and then you've got cold brew.
Right.
And so a lot of more of your like authentic coffee shops are going to come up with more of like a nitro infused coffee, iced coffee, and then you can do flavors too as well in your
So
coffee.
that's a big deal to have.
It is.
And
It is.
It looks awesome, actually.
Yeah.
So you just give it a little blast and it gets that foam. On
Yeah,
the copper.
so this would be
When it's working, right?
when it's working. Right now we
But
shut
it
it.
will be.
Yeah, and around here because it's so rural, it's not necessarily something that. Right.
Yeah.
Now I will tell you, we can tell you as a city person that walks in here in a minute. Because as soon as they see some of the different things, they're like, "Oh, I didn't know you had that," or "Oh, that's great," and I haven't had this, and that's legit, or you really make flat whites, and you make it like the coffee shop in in Seattle downtown.
But see, that's where the differentiation, I'm seeing this through small towns all through Western New York, is that you're bringing this, because the connotation of small town, like here, I can tell you a better example. So when I moved to Northern California, I love small towns. And I was living in these small towns, but what I noticed is that it's not a small town like you would think it's a small town. These are well-educated people, and you get I think better quality everything in a small town because you get the custom personalized service. But what I was finding is big city everything in these small towns.
Yeah.
That's all I'm trying to say. Is
Yeah.
that we would see
Yeah.
that like over and over and over again, and I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
You know, you
Yeah.
have a wide selection, you have these beautiful products, and you have places like this.
Yeah.
But giving you something, you have to go to Buffalo or Jamestown.
Right.
Right.
So the coffee company that we got connected to with, they consulted with us. They took care of all of the equipment. They've been with us for the whole entire first year. So everything that we have, they're in business to help the small coffee companies be profitable and to make a good way in a coffee.
Oh, so
shop.
that's their niche. Right?
That's that is.
People say niche.
That is.
But that's kind of what they do, right?
Exactly.
They figure out
Right.
like.
That's what they do, and then but it's not a franchise. Like I'm not locked into them. I can carry any bean. I could roast my own. We do our own recipes on stuff that we want to try.
It's more about empowering you guys.
Yeah.
Giving you the tools.
Yeah.
To do the job
Right.
that you need to do.
Right.
And it allows us to be assured that we're doing high quality.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're the ones that give us the procedures so that we make sure that we're brewing it right, so that that every cup of coffee is quality. So,
Sure.
but a lot of this setup for the coffee, for the brew bar, that is something that when we came, that was really our oldest son, Josh. That was his
How old
deal.
is
He is
He's
22.
22.
So Josh was he was really the
And
partner for outlining
The creator
board.
of the board.
He's the one that took all the time to actually do all of the writing, to do the research. So he really kind of got us set up before he went and got married. So, so
Is he still local?
he's
No.
not. He's in Kansas City.
Oh,
so,
he is?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
There was a couple of things. We were bringing the coffee, wanting to make sure that we brought the perfect parking lot and window for doing drive-through. The company that
Do you guys have drive-thru?
we do.
Yes.
I didn't even know this. Where's the drive-thru?
Right there.
Get out of here. So you just put that in, or has that been there since you?
When we
rented
bought it.
That window was there.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
idea. So where do we pull in for the drive-thru?
You actually up here
Around the
and
building.
you come into the driveway and you come around.
And up here, it gets freezing.
Yeah.
That's
You don't
not-
have to get out of your car.
No, that's so in my head. So while we were talking just now, and we were talking about the business, I was picturing that.
Right.
And that
Yeah.
was the only caveat with the whole thing is that people do not want to get out of the car, especially in the morning. They're just tired and they're cranky. And they just want to get to work or wherever they're going.
Right.
And there you go.
Right.
So now we've got a drive-through.
Right.
Wow, that was a
So-
smart move.
Right. And so then the beautiful thing of what we have is, but we handcraft all of our drinks. So when someone gives us an order, we're not just pushing a button and it's just dispensing for us. Like we're pulling like the perfect shot. We have to grind the espresso. It has to be at a certain weight, and then
It's a real coffee shop.
it is totally
Exactly.
authentic. And so when we're running it through the espresso machine, we have between 22 and 27 seconds. If that shot goes short or long, we have to scrap it and start all over again. So, so a lot of what we're doing is we're handcrafting all of our drinks. We're handcrafting, we're putting in the flavorings, we're steaming the milk. And so that takes a process. And so a lot of times if people are locals who are more consistent, we usually share with them because our entire menu is online. So you can go to ststevenscafe.com
Okay.
and you can actually even pre-order. If you already knew that what you wanted for breakfast and coffee tomorrow, you can order it tonight and have it set to pick up at 7:15 tomorrow morning.
That is super smart.
Right, and so we're doing that online, and then we've actually our Google, our Android app. You can put an app on your phone, and the Apple is being developed right now. So it just makes it a way so that if someone already knows they're coming through, they can do their order, and we'll even do your food that way. We do full breakfast, full lunch menu, and we have a lot
So I
of
can
people.
order and just come pick it up
Exactly.
Yes.
through the drive-thru.
Yes. Yeah, and we have fish fry
Yep.
on Friday nights, and we have people
You guys are blowing my mind.
Yeah, they pre-ordered
Like,
their
this is
fish
not- you
fries
don't
and
even
they
get
come and
this
pick
in
it
a
up.
big
I
this is
told
what
you
I'm-
it's quality.
Yeah, you don't even get this in a big city though.
Friday night you want fish fry and you're going to bring 7 of your friends. You can call us and say, hey, we're going to be there at this time.
It's interesting because we've had some people who have called in to order their fish fry, and we've asked them, will you be coming in and picking it up, or will you be coming through the drive-through? It catches them by surprise because they're like, well, I think I'll come through the drive-through.
Yeah. So who did you guys? That was your brainstorm, or was that your son's?
When we
It was a
came,
mutual.
when we
discussion.
came, we saw that the window
Where it was located.
was located, and it was perfect for doing drive-through. But yours truly was the mom in the van with 3 kids, and there was no way I wanted to have to jump out of a vehicle in the snow to go get anything. But if I could go through a drive-through, I sure would. Yeah. And so and we lived here before. We know that from October to April, weather can be tumultuous.
Now the menu. So you all had a hand in designing the menu, or your son designed the menu?
Well, this part,
a lot of the menu.
The food offerings that you have?
that's sort of been all of us.
It's been all of us, and actually our patrons were very involved in the very, very beginnings of what we were doing, because there would be a lot of times they'd be like, have you thought about this? And so we would say, okay, how can we incorporate that? And we would bring it out. They were our guinea pigs. They tried everything.
What's on the screen up there, this is so this would be lunch and dinner options for people. And so, you got stuff for kids, teenagers, mom and dad, and people of all ages. And then our fish fry that's over here on the wall, you'll see. And unlike most places you have to wait, our fish fry starts at 11 a.m. and runs through 7.
And then the pastries, do you guys make them on site, or do you have a company make them for you, or?
If it's most of them, yes. It's hard to make bagels, so no.
Yes, yeah, you have to. You can't, yeah, that's a whole process.
That and there's a company we've found that we like their product.
Yeah, and local again. Yeah.
But like your scones and the brownies, this is a snickerdoodle.
Isn't that you guys?
Yes, we make those. And caramel apple coffee cake. This bar is actually from the 1901 World's Fair.
That's right. So yeah, the kid that was behind the bar when I came in told me this. So this was built specifically for that, and then moved here after the fair.
The people that owned it at the time made arrangements to get, I think it's a third of it, or a half. We have
A fourth?
3, but we have differing reports. We have differing reports, and so this one has been here since right after that.
See, and this is the type of thing, like, if this bar could talk, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically seeing everything.
Yeah.
Because everybody passed through here.
We were doing horse and buggy at the time, so it's a huge difference. And then, so we just wanted to make sure it stays close to authenticity. Right? And then we built this. My father-in-law built this and painted it for us. And so we could put games in and puzzles. And so we got games, we have puzzles for kids, adults, everything you can think of. We just put in a puzzle table so people can come, sit, and do the puzzles. Jigsaw puzzles, we have a lady that came in shortly after we put jigsaw, said, I love doing them, but there's often pieces missing. Can I be your checker? So literally, she'll come down, she'll take them home, she'll do them, come back and tell us, this one needs thrown away, this one's got all the pieces.
Wow. How cool is that?
That's
right?
great.
Yeah, that's
Saves me a bundle of time.
Yeah. Initially, or
This was something as we've lived with it.
It's just kind of organically grown.
Well, how do you build community? And we began living with and I don't remember who came up with the idea.
Right.
But we all sort of jumped in like, that works.
Well, and that's why it was important for us to keep the name. It was important to the people in the community. That was one part of it. But the other thing is we had a lot of people, a lot of church people who found it very, very difficult to come in here at first because of what they knew it had been. But the beautiful thing is we're like, isn't that what redemption is about? Like when it's broke down, when we're broke down, when we're a mess, redemption is about making something new, making life out of that.
Make something new.
And that's right. And
That's
so
right.
even for here, I think the whole entire thing is wanting to bring life to this place and so that it's welcoming to everyone who comes. This used to be a retail space. You can see the retail windows. And then these were all of the second floor were all of the hotel rooms, which is now single family residential. But then the interesting thing is on the third floor from Highland and Main, it looks like it is a third floor, but it doesn't have, the whole entire building does not have 3 floors.
It doesn't?
No. So the only place on Highland and on Main is where you can see the third floors, but if you go on the back part of the building, it only has 2 floors. And interestingly enough, in the middle of this building is almost built like a horseshoe, so that each one of the hotel rooms had its own natural light.
Oh, wow.
And so it's actually in a horseshoe and was opened up to the sun, and that's why you didn't have 3 floors, so that you could actually have natural light into all these rooms.
That's smart.
Yeah. So I mean, as far as the engineered and what they did, now along this area, this is actually where the cafe actually runs. But then sometime here they added on the actual kitchen that we use, and the cooler, and that actually extends onto that building. So,
Wow.
But what I was going to tell you is that I think it was 1950 to 1951, that New Year's Eve, the third floor took on damage from a fire. And what we're told it was that it was arsoned. And that actually some of the fire department guys were actually down here when the fire started, and so that's how they were able to get a hold and get this building under control. But if you go up on the third floor, there's actually, you can still see charred rafters. You can see right through walls because the 2x4s are up. And
Wow.
since we've taken over the building, we've cleaned a lot of it out. We've taken out dumpsters worth of just debris and junk, and so it's really neat now that we actually can walk into some of these rooms that are just empty rooms that you can actually kind of see just old wallpaper. So it's just interesting. Yeah.
So part of what we're doing with it sort of follows along the whole theme of St. Stephen's. What we would like to see it is for a place so that when people lose their place to live, go through life situations like divorce or abuse, and they need a place to recoup, to get back on their feet, to get job skills, life skills, and be able to get out and be able to make their way in the world. We're hoping to make this space like that. Have a place and get back on their feet, get job skills.
Yeah.
Well,
You know?
that's your mission.
It's the whole revitalization idea.
Right. And listen, I'm a firm believer in the good that you do. The beautiful halo glow of that will just